thinking about this type of engagement is important for every industry, right? How do you really get consumers to be part of your brand, part of your journey, and thinking about how to get them on board in the right way, right? What are your permissions? What are you allowed to do with your IP and your brand? And then what can you do that is interesting and exciting to keep people engaged?
Yeah, I mean, and this is especially the case with you look at some of these cross media things that are coming around right now, like Fortnite and Marvel is a great example of this. How that relationship that's existing in one place is being kind of married to another place, and people are able to bring more of themselves to the place that they want to be. They're able to bring more of themselves to that relationship that they have with broader media.
Hi, I'm Mike Salmon. I'm the Senior Vice President of Games here at Magid, where we research and talk about games on a really, really regular basis. One thing we've been talking about a lot for the last year or so is this idea of games as a relationship. And to understand where this kind of came from, last generation, it was games as a service, where we built the scaffolding. We created this place for consumers to continue engaging in games after the game released. That was cool. People liked it. This generation is really about getting deeper, right? It's about games as a relationship. It's about finding ways to engage on a two-way street with these players. And it's a really important part of how you think about making games and how you think about servicing games. And we've talked to tons of consumers that have brought this up, and Jason has a lot more on that.
Hey, I'm Jason Rice, Director of Qualitative Research here at Magid. Yeah, a lot of what we heard from consumers has really informed this thinking of games as a relationship. And a big part of it, as Mike mentioned, was this two-way street. A lot of the consumers we talk to these days, they bring a lot to the games that they're playing. They really do think of their games less as a service that they're going to kind of dip in and out of and engage with in a more professional or perfunctory level, and more as something that they're going to deeply invest in and that they're going to expect a similar level back from. I mean, especially with these games that now ask a lot of players. They're asking players to come back to them day after day, whether it's, to grind out bounties in Destiny or to, do daily quests in different MMOs. Players are expected to bring a lot to the games that they play, and they're excited and happy to do it. But they expect the games to be, to fulfill their side of the relationship as well.
Yeah, and players don't just bring themselves to the experience. They also bring content like Roblox and Fortnite. People are building stuff for each other. They're making t-shirts. They're creating this world and making it more lively. And that's really important. And the other big thing about games relationship is it's not just about what's on screen and what's in world. It's about what goes on outside the world, right? It's about PR. It's about community. It's about marketing. It's about all of this equaling this. And then things like transmedia, things like the Netflix TV show on The Witcher. There's a way to make your brand and your IP a relationship, right? And it's much deeper than just what you see at the bar on a Friday night. It's the person you sit on the sofa with and watch Netflix with as well. And that's a really important distinction. And we also know fully, having been on the development and publishing side, that this is a really difficult task, right? Because now you're making a game. It's hard enough to get it out in 5 years on budget, but now you have to think about the next 5 years. And if you're not planning that, you're not thinking about that, you're missing what the consumers are asking for and what they're expecting.
Yeah, consumers don't see this relationship as something that ends when the credits roll in a game or ends when they put down their controller. Again, like Mike said, just like, they're not expecting to have a relationship with someone end when they leave the bar at the end of Friday night. They want to extend this relationship, and more so than ever before, we're seeing consumers who are open and excited to the idea of, not just having a relationship with games outside, like with merchandising, right? Like, it's more than just wearing a t-shirt. It's, I want to have that soundtrack available. I want to be able to watch a TV show. I want to extend my relationship with this game beyond the controller. And examples like The Witcher are a great example of how that can be a success in both directions, both in terms of expanding an IP, but also in terms of generating buzz and excitement around the game itself.
Yeah, and really importantly too, Jason, is that this is Gen Z. A lot of this is we're talking about these people we're talking to, and this proliferates everything they do, right? It's not just in gaming. They kind of have this fandom is really what it is. It's a super fandom that has come from, ages of them doing this and engaging people on this level, whether you're making sausages or video games or TV shows, is really critical to understanding this consumer, because they are a very loyal, but not loyal consumer at the same time. If you give them something back, they will engage with you. If you don't, they'll move on. They'll cancel the subscription. That's just they're the cancel culture, right? But they also hold on to everything that gives them something back. And it's really important to think about. In a lot of ways, it reminds me of the metaverse, which is something that we may talk about at some point, but I don't know.
Don't bring up the M word, Mike. If you bring up the M word, you're going to get me going, and then we'll never stop. This video will never end.
Yeah, well, we might talk about that later, but thank you so much for listening. And if you have any questions about games as a relationship, games, or anything else, we're happy to talk.